Aren't you a little short for a stormtrooper?
What's up, nerds? Welcome to another episode of the Multiverse Report. Tonight, we are recapping the week's nerdy news from New York City to Brendock and everywhere in between. I am one of your co-hosts, Mike Gibson. With me, as always, is Steve Haller. Steve was doing a little fun dance to the intro music, which I don't think you've ever done before.
I did
What's
not.
up with that?
I don't know, and it didn't even get on the feed. But yeah, I don't know. It just hit me tonight, so just feeling
loved it.
Just feeling it, man.
I loved it, dude. Thank you to you, Steve, and friend of the pod, Matt Flint, for jumping on last week when I could not be here. You guys did a 2-hour episode.
Yeah. It was one of those where we look back and we're like, we're still talking. Oh shit.
Yeah. Longest episode that's not strictly devoted to Star Wars information of some kind.
True.
I think.
And outside of the accolade, didn't have much for Star Wars, so
yeah, there was nothing in the regular news rundown. You just,
we just went with it. So yeah. Thanks again to Matt. That was awesome. If you want to check that out, look at it on your podcatcher of choice. While you're there, you can leave us a 5-star review because it's always greatly appreciated.
Sure can, please do.
Or if you'd like to see Matt's beautiful face as well, you can check it out on our YouTube page and
That's right.
like, comment, subscribe, and ring the bell and all that happy fun stuff.
Yeah. Or if you'd like to hear stuff that Steve and I talk about before we start recording, or things like film commentaries or things like that, you can subscribe to our Patreon, Multiverse Report on Patreon. It is out there, and out there for the taking. So What are you waiting for, really, people? As always, this podcast is sponsored by Funky Town Comics and Vinyl in Camillus, New York. Check them out, please. And as always, these other two little bits of business we've been plugging lately, that I will be appearing at Trek Wars, a nerdy Star Wars, Star Trek themed burlesque show at the Palace Theater on August 10th in Syracuse, New York.
Yep.
I'll be selling comics and having a great time watching an awesome nerdy burlesque show. You should come out. Your tickets are on sale right now. Make sure you're buying the ones for Trek Wars and not for the Empire Strips Back, which is happening in September, which is a big corporate conglomerate thing and not a cool local burlesque troupe, which you should be supporting. So check out the Cinesisters Burlesque Trek Wars event, August 10th, Palace Theater, Syracuse, New York. I'll be there. So will the aforementioned Funky Town Comics and possibly Steve Haller.
Unfortunately. Talked to my wife this morning, and we got clearance to go, and then at about noon, I got an invitation from my aunt from my cousins who are throwing a surprise 50th anniversary party for my aunt and uncle. So just after I got the go ahead and was about to text Mike and say, hey, I'm on, I'm off. So, but you can catch both
Steve.
of us later in the month.
That's right. If you are a fan of the North Country, or someone who lives in the North Country of New York State specifically, you can come find Steve and I at AnchorCon on August 17th and 18th. Well, I will be selling comics. Steve will be doing some podcasting stuff and talking to people about their opinions on nerdy things.
Yeah. We'll be hosting a panel, I know, at one point.
Yeah, we're hosting a panel, basically doing a live episode of the podcast for our panel. So we'll be talking about whatever nerdy news is available for you. So come on down to AnchorCon, August 17th and 18th, up in
Clayton, New York. Yeah, and if you haven't been up to Clayton in the summer, it's you can't really beat the St. Lawrence Seaway in the summer. So
yeah, beautiful country up there, and that's where we shall be. Pretty busy August for me. I gotta say. Yeah,
I'm coming off this. Also for any loyal listeners of the pod, next week, Mike may come up with some crazy option, but I am out of the country, so I will not be recording anything.
Steve will be gone. Yeah. I know there's been times where I've done like an audio only thing, so I don't have access to our like mainframe of videography. That's what you call it, right?
This stuff.
But I might do a short audio only one if there's anything that big that drops, or we might just take the week off. So we'll see what happens. I thought for a while that we didn't have a whole lot to talk about this week, and then I read a couple things, and we
Yeah.
got a couple pretty good sized stories to talk about. We're hitting the big three this week. We got
Yeah.
we got some Marvel stuff, we got a Star Wars thing, and we got a couple small DC things, but it's the big three. We're hitting them.
The small DC things are bigger than they should be for what they are.
Yeah, I agree.
So
Agreed. Yeah,
actually, all of them, like every bit of news is surprisingly like, huh, okay, yeah, that's a pretty substantial piece of information.
Yeah. So should we dive right in? Any other business we got to take care of?
I don't know. Friend of the pod, Matt Flynn, is in the chat and says that you're welcome. He was glad to do it. So.
Oh, great. Oh, I should real quick, because there was one thing that you guys talked about last week that you said I wish we could get Mike's input on, because he's a DC guy, which was the costuming for the other heroes from Superman, their other set photos.
Yeah.
In their costumes. I agree pretty much with everything you guys said. Hawkgirl looks like Hawkgirl. It definitely is Metamorpho, I believe. That's the other member of that team that was announced. And yeah, the Guy Gardner one, man, like
he is wearing clothes.
There's too much white on it for me. There's too much white. And like, yeah, like you mentioned, like it's always those three colors. That's the color scheme for any Green Lantern outfit. And Green Lanterns they all have their own individual outfits. I personally don't remember seeing Guy Gardner in a mostly white one. He does wear a jacket sometimes, and I like him in a jacket or a vest with like a collar. So like,
yeah, after the pod, I looked up Gardner, and he usually has like white accents of some sort or whatever, but not like a white suit.
Right. So I think Matt Flint put it this way, and I'm putting it the same way. This is going to be a trusting in James Gunn kind of thing for me. Because like also it's just a new thing, and maybe it'll be fine, and who cares? We don't even know how big of a role he has in this movie. I can't imagine that any of those characters have like a huge role in the movie. Like they're probably side characters, they're in it, but who knows?
If they were going to have a huge role in the movie, you probably wouldn't call it Superman.
You'd call it Justice League or something. Right. Yeah, but we're not going to do that quite yet. I need to get a taste out of our mouths still. Also, not to ruffle any feathers, but I just got to say, sorry, Matt. The Last Jedi is a great movie. Anyway, moving on into our rundown, starting with Marvel. This is probably the biggest piece of nerdery we got this week.
Yeah.
Is that we got the official teaser trailer. Again, I think this was a trailer. You don't call it a teaser.
Yeah, this was more than a teaser.
We've ranted about this before, but the definition of teaser has definitely been massaged over the last 20 years. Because a teaser used to be
30 seconds in and out.
30 seconds.
Like
some
10
music,
of it is
some voiceover.
Right. 10 of it is your logo and
a logo reveal. Exactly. A logo title reveal. That was a teaser.
Maybe
this was a trailer.
Yeah. Oh, 100%.
Yeah. Anyway, we got the first teaser trailer for Captain America: Brave New World. We also got a poster, and we got the official synopsis for Captain America: Brave New World. Official synopsis reads: after a meeting with the newly elected U.S. President Thaddeus Ross, played by Harrison Ford in his Marvel Cinematic Universe debut, Sam Wilson finds himself in the middle of an international incident. He must discover the reason behind a nefarious global plot before the true mastermind has the entire world seeing red. Now, just going to address the elephant in the room real quick. The entire world seeing red is a reference to the fact that at the very end of this trailer, we got our first glimpse at Red Hulk. Red Hulk, character from the comics, which is clearly going to be an antagonist in this film. Now,
I don't know if it's a spoiler to say who Red Hulk is, because they didn't show it in the trailer.
I know. That's why I didn't just then. I almost did.
I was like, Mike's playing around this one. Because I also can't picture that actor.
Yeah. Right. I mean, it's pretty easy to people are talking about this online like crazy. So it's
you're
not
gonna miss it.
I mean, we'll avoid it, I guess, for the sake of whatever.
For this pod. After this pod,
I also feel like there is a good chance that this could be something the MCU has done before, which is, calling it a bait and switch is too much, but like a twist.
Yeah.
Where they're going to make us think that they're doing it the way the comics is, but then it turns out, no, this other person is going to be Red Hulk. You know what I mean?
Have they pulled something that wild before, though?
Iron Man 3.
Oh.
With
yeah.
Mandarin.
Yeah.
That's what made me think of it. So
I don't know, though. Like,
I
from
don't
what
know.
we know. Yeah. Sorry.
I don't know, man.
The vagaries are hard to do with this one, but first, I guess that was the elephant in the room. First thing is that whole trailer that we saw, you see Red Hulk for the last 5 seconds.
Yes.
The first, however long it was of that before that last 5 seconds, actually already had me wanting to go see this movie.
I agree. I did not need the Red Hulk.
No, not at all.
At the end of this trailer at all.
It was an added bonus, but it was like, oh, this felt. I'm gonna go on a limb here, and it's okay. It's not. I'm not saying it's going to be as good as, but this felt like Winter Soldier.
It did, and I can imagine them going into this movie thinking we need to make this feel like Winter Soldier. Like I can imagine that being a goal for them as they started production on this film. Like started writing it. Because they know everyone loves that movie. And it is a Captain America movie, but it's a new person holding the mantle of Captain America. So they probably want to connect
two Captain Americas are in the movie.
True, because Isaiah Bradley is also in the film. But I feel like they want to make sure it feels like a Captain America movie, right? So despite it being a new person holding the shield, it still has to feel like that. So they're like, okay, well, what's the classic feel of a Captain America movie? Winter Soldier. Okay, we'll make it look like that. Or they at least made the trailer seem like that, because the trailer was a lot of like ground level, just people shooting guns at each other kinds of stuff. And it wasn't very superhero-y, besides the fact that Captain America's flying around and dodging stuff with his wings and stuff, which is awesome. Looked great. Harrison Ford looked good, taking over the role.
I do love how they did that too.
Just explaining away the mustache.
Right, noting that William Hurt, because for anyone who didn't know, William Hurt was the actor who previously portrayed Thaddeus Ross, Thunderbolt Ross, in the MCU. Had a mustache while portraying him, and Harrison Ford ain't wearing a mustache.
Because like the character in the books, Thunderbolt Ross has a mustache, like classically. It's like a classic character.
And in the original Hulk, the mustache played Thaddeus Ross.
Right.
The mustache himself, Sam Elliott.
Sam Elliott. Yeah, I was trying to think of his name. But I can definitely see Harrison Ford being like, "Nah, I'm not gonna. I'll do your movie, but I'm not gonna grow a mustache."
Right.
That's not happening.
Yeah, I'll do it. I don't know.
But it also made for a great line in the trailer. It was a mustache, or I wasn't gonna win the election. I had to get rid of the mustache. So.
Also, other side note: do you know who else has portrayed Thunderbolt Ross?
No.
Someone who voiced him, who we are very excited to have in the DCU, one Clancy Brown.
Oh, I can see that for sure.
And Hulk and the Avengers. So
yeah, that dude's everywhere.
He is. He's such a prolific voice actor, on top of him being just a damn good actor.
For sure. Oh, for sure. We also got some shots of Giancarlo Esposito shooting some of those aforementioned guns, blowing up some of those aforementioned bombs. Some kind of antagonist. I don't know if his character has a name yet. If they've revealed if he's playing a named character or how integral he is.
Yeah, I believe at this point he hasn't been, like, they haven't revealed who it was.
Yeah.
So.
And you pointed out to me, Steve, something that we didn't see in this trailer. Something we've talked about in the past, and in the synopsis, it says he must discover the reason behind a nefarious global plot before the true mastermind has the entire world seeing red. That true mastermind, I am assuming, is the leader, played by Tim Blake Nelson, who has been confirmed as returning, reprising his role from The Incredible Hulk. So not only is this movie going to have the Red Hulk in it, it's also going to have the leader. So all the, real world boots on the ground, realistic stopping terrorism stuff. I don't know how much the movie is going to be that, and then when is it going to shift to crazy giant big brained man
Right.
somehow controlling crazy giant red skinned man. So I don't know. I'm not sure how they're going to marry those two things. So I have to personally say, so although I think this trailer looked great, this was a great trailer. Me thinking about that, and also thinking about how they had to reshoot 2/3 of the movie, and the
Right.
estimates of the budget are creeping close to $400 million from what I've recently heard. I can't guarantee this is going to be a home run. Like, it might still be a mess. We don't really know yet. This was a great trailer.
Yeah.
But we've seen many a great trailer for what turned out to be a bad movie. So who knows? I'm optimistic for sure. This trailer made it look way better than I kind of expected it to. My expectations were not that high. So we'll see when we get, like, this is a teaser trailer, like we said. If we get an official trailer, more of like a story trailer, more looks at Red Hulk, a reveal of the leader possibly, we will see how it feels. Right now, it feels like it's going to be good, but there's a lot they're not showing us. And that might tip the scales one way or the other. I don't know.
Maybe we go even crazier and Mastermind is actually Mastermind.
Oh, that'd be cool.
Yeah. I don't think that's going to happen.
But that would be too many. Then you got the leader and Red Hulk and Giancarlo Esposito.
Yeah.
And it's way too much going on.
And he's a mutant, and that hasn't been done yet, but whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. I guess my big thing with this is the thing that has me excited and not as much worried about it is Marvel effectively was just like, they knew they had to throw enough money at this thing to get it right. Because if they don't, like, this is their relaunch of the MCU. Like, a lot is riding on this movie.
And it's their relaunch of Captain America, who is a cornerstone of the MCU. So if, like, Captain America stops working, then they got a big problem.
Right, but if they have a dud going into Fantastic Four next summer, it's going to be like they can't afford to fail. So I'm assuming they didn't give two flying shits what the budget ended up being on this, and that it was just, all right, let's do what we have to do. If it's not good, we reshoot the whole goddamn thing and make it good.
I hope that is the case for sure.
If it isn't the case, it should have been the case.
Yeah, because I mean, we're hearing great things about Deadpool and Wolverine, which comes out in a couple weeks. And everyone's saying it's going to reignite the MCU and blah blah blah. I'm like,
it's not.
I don't know.
I
don't know about
Deadpool.
That. It's exactly. Thank you. That's exactly what I was about to say.
Yeah.
It's going to reignite Deadpool. Because as much as hints or references that we might get in that movie, I don't think we're going to get like a ton of MCU characters. I think we're going to get a lot of 20th Century Fox cameos, but I don't know. Like I don't know. Well, that's a whole different thing that I'm not going to get into. But it's going to reignite Deadpool. But I feel like this is the movie that has to reignite the MCU proper. And I hope you're right. I hope they spent that much money because they knew that, and they knew that it had to be good, and they knew they had to get it right. And they are certainly, they put Red Hulk in the end of the trailer. The poster that I mentioned is Captain America's shield being gripped by a Red Hulk hand and being like slightly crushed. So like they're not hiding the fact that Red Hulk is in this movie, but that kind of makes me think that Red Hulk might actually be a red herring as far as the true thrust of the film or who the true bad guy is. Like obviously it's going to be, the leader's going to be involved somehow.
Right. And we have no idea what Esposito is doing. We just know he's a villain.
Yes, exactly. So we'll see. We'll see. Captain America Brave New World comes out next year, next summer, I think. I don't remember.
May?
It's gotten moved a bunch of times. I feel like it is May of 2025.
I feel like it's on the poster. February.
Well, oh, that's right.
Valentine's
because it says
Day.
on the trailer that's February. Yeah.
Comes out on Valentine's Day.
All right.
Don't know if I can convince the wife on that one.
Doubtful.
No.
Doubtful.
Although she did love the original Captain America
Oh, there you go.
more than Winter Soldier.
Oh, okay. I love the first Avenger. I think it's a great movie.
I thought it
Big
was a
fan
great
of it.
movie. I just didn't.
Yeah.
I don't know. It
Yeah.
wasn't. It wasn't Winter Soldier when you put them up against each other. I guess
Right.
is the.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not. But it is more simple, and it's almost like it's easier. You know, your wife's not a comic book fan,
True.
so it's
It's
easier. It's a more digestible story.
Right. It's an on-ramp. It's a love story. It's got all this other stuff going on. It's
Right.
not a spy thriller. Like
Exactly. Introducing a character that I was excited to see on film for the first time, Winter
Right.
Soldier, and I knew that the twist was going to be, so I was like in the bag for it immediately.
Mhm.
But yeah.
Who's the Winter Soldier going to be? Oh, wait, never mind.
Yeah. My son just I mentioned that I had seen a new Captain America. They're making a new Captain America movie. And he goes, "Can I go see it?" I was like, I don't know, buddy. I don't know that you would know what was happening." He goes, "I don't care. I don't need to know what's happening." And I was like, "Well, we'll see. It's going to be a year from now. We'll see." And then I was like, "When do we start watching the MCU? Like, how old should he be?"
I don't know. Like, because my brain says like Star Wars is slightly different because it's completely fictional and lasery and all sorts of shit.
Yeah, right.
Whereas even though it's superheroes and crazy suits and whatnot, it's all still on Earth and it's all still grounded in other people. And
Right.
it's not just like Darth Vader in a mask shooting, or and Luke and Han shooting at
Yeah.
white armored dudes that don't look like anything around here.
Right. Right. And I think like he hasn't really seen a whole lot of live action superhero movies. I mean,
Right.
he's seen like the Spider-Verse ones and like Lego Batman or whatever, but I feel like I want to start him like with like the Sam Raimi Spider-Mans, like start a little campier. You know what I mean? Like good, but like a little heightened reality.
Right.
Until you get like, oh, here's Iron Man just mercilessly murdering people
In a cave.
in the desert. Yeah.
With a box of parts.
Yeah. Anyway, speaking of Spider-Man, something I'm still not sure whether or not I'm excited about I got a little more excited when I read this update, Steve. I gotta say, I don't know.
I think you know my thoughts on Nick Cage.
I do.
And I think that's my aversion. I think the concept I love. So fire away.
We got more information on Spider-Man Noir. It's got a new title and new cast members and a synopsis as well. This is a live action series being developed for Amazon Prime that will star Nicolas Cage, reprising his role from the animated Spider-Verse films. Live action version of the same character. The series will be titled Spider Noir. I think that's the third. Like earlier in this week, I read that it was just going to be called Noir, which I think would be a terrible title for any superhero thing. Like, I think the best title for this would be Spider-Man Noir.
Yeah.
And now they're just calling it Spider Noir. I guess that's easier to say because it's one less word, but like,
I have less
scream
faith
Spider-Man
in
at me.
Sony doing anything every time I read something.
Right. Yeah. The synopsis for Spider Noir is Spider Noir tells us.
It just
sounds stupid
bad.
saying it. It sounds stupid.
It really does.
Because I read that they changed it from noir to Spider Noir to connect it to the world of Spider-Man more, but then just call it Spider-Man Noir.
We're talking about the studios that keep putting out Spider-Man movies without Spider-Man in them.
Yeah, that they think people are going to get excited about a Madam Web movie or a Morbius. Like, people don't care, and Spider-Man's not there. Anyway, Spider-Man Noir, I feel like I'm just going to call it that, tells a story of an aging and down-on-his-luck private investigator, Cage, in 1930s New York who is forced to grapple with his past life as the city's one and only superhero. That is what intrigues me, because he seems like he's retired. Like, he used to be a Spider-Man in 1930s New York, and now he's too old and he's retired, which fits Nicolas Cage, who's getting to be an older gentleman at this time, reflecting and grappling with his life. So that adds some depth I think, to an otherwise would have just been like, okay, what kind of crazy, Spider-Man story is this going to be or whatever. The fact that it's more, well, like a Batman Beyond kind of thing, except he's not training a new
Yeah.
fighter hero, anyway. Nicolas Cage said this week that their episodes are going to be about 45 minutes long each. He said the following. He said episodes are, quote, 45 minutes. I mean, it's 8 episodes, so it's the equivalent of 4 movies in 5 months. So that tells me the shooting schedule is about 5 months, and it's going to be 8 episodes long. Each episode's about 40 to 45 minutes, seemingly. Not bad. New cast members announced this week include Lamorne Morris from New Girl, who's going to be playing Robbie Robertson. Not the musician, songwriter for the band, but the Spider-Man character, Robbie Robertson.
I was literally about to bring up that every time I read Robbie Robertson, I think of Robbie Robertson.
Yeah, I used to think of the Spider-Man character when I was a child.
Yes.
And now I think of the renowned guitar player and songwriter for the band. And get this, Brendan Gleeson has been cast as the show's villain. Oscar nominee Brendan Gleeson. So that interests me quite a bit.
Yeah.
If it's good enough for Brendan Gleeson to sign on. So no word on what villain he's playing, if it's going to be somebody that we know or like a noir version of a character we know. Who knows?
No, you know what I want? I want 1930s, him and Nick Cage doing a 1930s version of Banshees of Inisherin. With him playing the same character.
The villain just throws fingers at him all the time.
That's his superpower. He just throws fingers at him. Yeah.
The fact that he's an aging private investigator grappling with his past life as the city's superhero makes me think that this is probably going to be like Mandalorian, where Nick Cage is in a couple scenes, but anytime that it's Spider-Man in the past, it's going to be him just doing the voice, so they can save some money on him. I would not be surprised if that's what it is. But anyway, this is...
we're going to get that weird ass, like, him in the Spider-Man costume, but still wearing the fedora, right? Like, I never understood that at all. That's always just been the dumbest
Well, that's
thing
the
to me.
character, right?
I know,
like,
but it's
is
always
that
been
going to
the
work in
dumbest
live
thing.
action? How is that going to work? I don't know. But that was the design for the Spider-Verse. Like, in the books, he doesn't wear the fedora in Spider-Man Noir. He just uses, like, goggles and stuff, right? So he looks more like, pieced together, I guess. Well, maybe they'll go that route. I can't imagine that they would try to make that fedora and trench coat work.
I don't know. Like, part of me wants to see
kind of
it, but also...
Me too. Yeah.
Like, I don't know. My brain hurts thinking about it.
Yeah. They'll figure out a way to get it in there. Like, I'll call it right now. Ready? The general costume will be like the piece together, like the vest and the goggles and stitched things. Yeah, that'll be it. But there will be one scene where he's either like out of... Does he use web fluid or does he use ropes? I don't know what he does in Noir, what the difference is. But there'll be something where he can't expose himself as Spider-Man, so he'll take his mask off and he'll have to put on a trench coat and a fedora to hide the fact that he's wearing his Spider-Man costume. And that will be the reference to the version.
I think that's a good show. That's a good show.
I'm calling it right now, knowing barely anything about this show. But like I said, I'm still like on the fence. I'm gonna wait for trailers, but I'm a little more interested by this synopsis and these castings. Makes me a little bit more interested in the show for sure.
I think I am as well.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah.
Good to know. Something else that I'm just still interested in, I guess. I don't know, this really moved the needle for me more or less, but jumping into a galaxy far, far away, Jonathan Tropper, a man whose name I've never heard before tonight, has been hired.
I hadn't heard it until you said it right then.
Yeah. Hired to write Sean Levy's Star Wars film. Sean Levy, the director of the upcoming Deadpool and Wolverine, has long been attached to a Star Wars project and has said that he plans to jump to it as soon as he's done with his work with Deadpool and Wolverine. Clearly, that work is ramping up a little bit as a writer has been hired. Jonathan Tropper has worked with Sean Levy before. He has wrote the Netflix movie The Adam Project, which also starred Ryan Reynolds. and the Sean Levy film This Is Where I Leave You. He's also worked on a bunch of Apple TV projects and has been a producer and a showrunner and things like that. So certainly no stranger to Hollywood, no stranger to writing films. Definitely would be his first Star Wars project, as would this be Sean Levy's first Star Wars project. Now, Steve, I remember that when Sean Levy was announced as the director for Deadpool 3, which it was called at the time, you and I looked at his past filmography and thought, none of these movies really scream R-rated, action-packed comedy.
Yep.
But from all the rumors and the rumblings, it seems like Deadpool and Wolverine it's got the juice that's cooking. But a Deadpool movie, very different from a Star Wars movie.
Mm-hmm.
And we haven't really talked about it that much because we don't really know anything about this project, but how confident are we in a Sean Levy Star Wars film in general, specifically since it's going to be written by someone he has worked with before? So it's not like someone who's familiar with Star Wars or someone whose work feels more like Star Wars coming in to help Levy get the feel for Star Wars or whatever with their script. It's someone that has worked with him before, knows what he likes, probably knows his style, but are they going to be able to make a movie that feels like Star Wars?
I don't know. And at this point, I don't know if I'm as worried about making a movie that feels like Star Wars.
Mm-hmm.
What I think at this juncture I'm more worried about is making a movie and then having it set in the Star Wars universe.
Sure.
Like I at this point, everyone don't set out trying to make a Star Wars movie. Set out trying to make a movie, and then you can add flair and you can change costumes and you do whatever to make it feel like Star Wars.
Right. Well, but it also depends on what this movie is.
Yeah, true.
Because if he's being hired to write a sequel to the Rey movie, New Jedi Order movie, which I can't imagine, I don't think that's what he's doing.
No.
But if this is a continuation or a sequel of something or a character or a storyline,
then he's probably not the right guy to do it.
Then he may not be the right guy to do it. If it's a brand new thing, then maybe he is.
I mean, his movies seem to have a feel to them.
Yeah.
That feel has shifted as he's worked more and more with Ryan Reynolds. But
Ryan Reynolds doesn't seem like someone that belongs in Star Wars to me.
No, but like even his original discography, filmography. There we go.
He's also a rapper.
God, that'd be weird.
That would be weird.
But like, Just Married with Ashton Kutcher and Brittany Murphy, like Cheaper by the Dozen, Pink Panther, Night at the Museum,
right?
Date Night, and then Real Steel. It's like, okay, none of those, like, I guess as weird as it sounds, those scream closer in line to like a all ages Star Wars movie than
That's true.
The Deadpool series, or even like Free Guy Adam Project type thing.
That's true. And also, I asked that question, and then I think about somebody like Leslie Headland, who I'm not. I haven't seen a ton of Sean Levy's films. I've seen a couple of them. I had only seen Russian Doll before, as far as work that Leslie Headland has done. And I liked Russian Doll, both seasons of it I liked. But I wouldn't have looked at Russian Doll and been like, this person should do a Star Wars thing.
Right.
But I'm enjoying the hell out of The Acolyte. And
we'll talk more about that later.
We will talk about recent episodes of The Acolyte at the end of this show. But for me, she has proven herself as someone who really understands Star Wars and gets it and knows how to make it feel. So, just because he hasn't had the opportunity to make something that feels like Star Wars doesn't mean that he's not a huge Star Wars fan and will know what it's supposed to look and sound like. So
yeah, and we'll see on Tuesday whether Headland lands the plane or not. But right now things are looking solid.
I think things are looking solid, and we'll talk more about that later. Last thing I want to say while we're talking about Star Wars, I learned a cool thing today. I've mentioned before, I'm having myself a Spielberg summer. I'm trying to watch a bunch of Steven Spielberg movies.
Yeah.
I've also been watching a documentary that's on Max called Spielberg. it came out in like 2017, 2018, maybe more recently. But it's interviews with Steven Spielberg and people that have worked with him talking about his career, and he's going through like his filmography more or less with touches on his personal life here and there. And there's a whole section where in the late 70s, early 80s, when like Hollywood was changing, and there's this whole like young group of directors that was coming in and like just blowing minds with what they were doing. Steven Spielberg, George Lucas, Martin Scorsese, Brian De Palma, and Francis Ford Coppola. And they were all friends. They would all like hang out, all those guys. And they would like critique each other's work, and they'd, give each other notes on scripts and stuff. And apparently, I'm surprised this was in there, because this is definitely more of a George Lucas story than a Steven Spielberg story, but Steven Spielberg told it, where George Lucas had those guys over and to watch a rough cut of Star Wars, and there were no effects. There was like a lot of like blue screen actors in front of primitive blue screen technology, and all the dog fights were just literally spliced in World War II from World War II movies. And that's the version of Star Wars that Spielberg saw for the first time, as did Brian De Palma and Martin Scorsese and Francis Ford Coppola. And I guess they went out to dinner afterwards, and Spielberg was the only one that like got it and was like, if you can pull this off, it's going to be huge. Like, I get it. I get what you're going for. This is going to be great if you can do it. But Brian De Palma was railing and like going off on Lucas, like, who are these people? Where are they from? What is going on? You can't just drop us. This makes no sense. Who's the hairy guy? Like, what is happening? You can't just drop us in without telling us anything about this. What you need to do, you need to start with some kind of information that tells us, that sets a scene so we can go into the movie. Like, Brian De Palma gave him the idea for The Crawl at the beginning of the Star Wars movie. Like, you need to give us this amount of information to set the stage so we have some kind of knowledge of this world going in. Otherwise,
before the
people aren't
cold
going to
open.
understand what's going on. Yeah. But I just thought it was cool that Brian De Palma is the reason that we got the Star Wars Crawl.
That's awesome.
Cool. Yeah.
It's funny when you started that. I was like, huh, I wonder where this is going, because like, there was a couple different directions they could have taken.
Yeah. I thought it was cool.
Yeah.
Not a huge personal fan of Brian De Palma's work, but it's very thankful for him.
It's always
coming up with that idea.
I get why people like it.
Yeah.
But it's never, like, I don't know. Scarface never did much for me. Carrie was fine. I
do like Carrie quite a bit.
It was, it was fine. But I'm also, I'm not the target audience for classic horror, I guess.
Yeah.
You would be.
Anyway, that's my little sidetrack. Jumping in DC real quick. What?
Sorry. I was
reflecting on something.
My brain was still in De Palma mode. Did he do?
He also did the first.
I was just going to ask, did he do the? I was like, I thought I remembered him attached to something like that.
Yeah.
So
that was back when Mission Impossible was like a cool franchise that had a different big director for every movie, and now they just got Christopher McQuarrie, who I like, and he's crushing it.
I was going to say, which actually has made the movies better.
Yeah, no, I agree, but I also like the idea of a big franchise that gets a big director for every, Brian De Palma, John Woo, why am I blanking on J.J. Abrams and Brad Bird, like you're collecting all these like big directors for each installment. So like the feel changes, and it does throughout all those movies until the McQuarrie ones are like, now they all look like this again, which is fine because those movies are great. So anyway.
Yeah.
Talking in circles here, jumping into DC. James Gunn reveals the official Superman logo. It was 1 year before the release of Superman. It said a year from now, our movie will be out or whatever. And it's definitely our best look that we've had at the new insignia. It is a clear, crisp, just picture of the S on a blue background, obviously. And, it is the one that we have seen. It's the one we've seen on the costume. It's the one we've seen in a promo image or two. But this is like the final official one. It's a lot more yellow than normal. I feel like normally you shy away from the yellow, which is something that he's leaning into. It has a yellow border around the outside instead of a red border. It's definitely more abstract, as we've talked about in the past. Like the S, we know it's an S because we're looking at it and we know that it's Superman, but um, it's not an obvious S. Less obvious than E. I feel like the Snyder Superman tried to disguise the S-ness a little bit and did a pretty good job. Made it a little more like rune kind of looking, or added pieces to it. But this is just a straight up symbol that kind of looks like an S with just like really hard straight lines. And this is it. Steve, thoughts?
I think I don't know. It looks like a Superman logo.
It does.
I mean,
Yeah, it looks like that Kingdom Come Alex Ross one, to be exact. Like
yeah,
most like
okay,
that.
yeah.
And
I feel like over at various times it's looked. I like the fact that it doesn't necessarily look like the S.
I agree. Yeah, me too.
I think it got a little too. I think most people don't know that it's not an S. Like,
yeah, I mean, I think the people that do know because they say that in Man of Steel. Like that was the first like high profile, like it's not an
oh
S.
yeah,
Like,
yeah,
oh, it's not? Like, um and I like that. And I like that they're continuing with it. Because yeah, to me, this looks more like an alien symbol that just happens to look like an S.
right.
And that's what I like about it. And there is not a ton to say about it because, like you said, yeah, it's just a Superman symbol.
Yeah, you see it and you immediately know it's a Superman logo.
Yeah, but it's also significant because this is the Superman logo that we're going to see for years and years and years, unless unless the movie comes out and is total dog shit and they reboot the following year. But I can't imagine that that's the case. I think they're invested enough in James Gunn and his future with Warner Brothers and with the DCU. So this is going to be our Superman logo for a long time.
Yeah.
I will be interested to see if the comics make the move to make that his insignia as well in the books. Because in the books currently, I believe it is more of a traditional S look. But sometimes when a big movie's coming out, the comics tend to try to mirror that a little bit for promotional sake. So we'll see. That ends up switching around. Last bit of regular news is that we also got the full trailer. We got a teaser a couple weeks ago. This is the full trailer for Watchmen Chapter 1. This is DC's animated adaptation of the beloved comic series, and it was going to be available on digital August 13th. I will probably wait to watch it until it is on Max, because it will assumedly be on Max eventually. Steve, what'd you think of this trailer?
I thought it captured the essence of Watchmen extremely well.
Yes.
I thought that it was as dark as need be. It was a full red band trailer. I don't think you can do Watchmen any other way.
Yep.
And it just really, I don't know, it hit all the right notes for me.
Yeah, I agree. It looked like Watchmen. It looked great. It looked like a great adaptation. And I kind of I like that they haven't tried to do this until now. Because Watchmen's been around since the 80s. I feel like there could have been a bad animated adaptation in the 90s or early 2000s or whatever. Like they waited until there's been enough well-received superhero animated adaptations and the technology was there so they could get the look that they wanted, because they're not trying to do like, it is computer animation. You can tell by the way they're moving, but the designs of the characters look like the comic characters. They're not trying to do like a Pixar 3D animation version of this story.
Right.
They're trying to make it look more like the comic book, which I think is very appreciative. And if they try to make this in 2010, I don't know that they would have done it that way.
No,
I think they would have been like, we got to update it and make it with the coolest looking animation we can, but I think it's served better by looking exactly like the book as best that it can.
And on a scale of 1 to what the hell, how much does Alan Moore hate this?
Oh, I don't know. I feel like I feel like he would hate this less than he would hate any live action adaptation, because it looks more like the comic, because assumedly it's going to be more faithful to the comic.
Right.
than a lot of the other adaptations have been.
I just feel
But
Alan
he's
Moore
not
ends
going to
up
watch it
being.
at all.
I just feel like he always ends up being like old man yelling at cloud.
Yeah, but he's also incredibly. He's an incredibly genius creator
100%.
and thinker at the same time. So like a lot of things he's yelling about, sometimes he's got a point.
Oh, he does. And
think,
things can
yeah.
be two things, but it's always like, all right, man, like we get it, but
Yeah.
Let it go, please.
Yeah. Yeah.
But at the same time, I do 100% get his point of view on a lot of what he's saying.
Yeah.
It's just like, you're not going to stop the general populace. Just, you're going to drive yourself nuts. Just chill.
Yep. Take the money and run.
Right.
Dude.
Yeah. We're trying to give you boatloads of money, sir.
But he doesn't. He takes his name off of everything. He doesn't
Yeah.
allow his name on anything, right? Yeah. So.
I mean, he's already made boatloads of money, so.
Yeah, exactly. He's fine. He's fine.
What's more boatloads of money?
I don't know. I don't have a retort. Steve, do you have a comic to review this week?
Yeah, someone with boatloads of money.
Awesome. I do not. I did not make it to Funky Town this week.
Doom.
Issue 1 of Doom.
So
Hell yeah.
This is the first printing of Doom.
What a cover that is, too, by the way.
Oh, it's absolutely killer.
Wow. Yeah.
But this was the first printing. Second printing came out last week. So Jesse wanted me to feature it on the pod. Dare I say one of the best books that's come out this year? Fully self-contained one shot. Hickman.
Oh, really? So this is not the beginning of an ongoing series.
No,
this is a one and done.
Fully one and done.
Oh, cool.
If this doesn't get you, I don't know what will. Doom versus Galactus.
Whoa, okay.
Doom's dead.
Oh.
Valeria Richards brings him back.
Oh.
And he ends up fighting Galactus.
Hey now. That sounds crazy.
It's as wild as you can possibly Hickman. And so Hickman and Sanford Green.
That it was Hickman.
Oh yeah. Yeah, once you say Hickman, all bets are off. It's just all right, cool. Yeah. We're just living in his world right now.
Wow.
But yeah, it hit really hard. So Sanford Green did the cover, that one that you saw, with Matt Wilson on colors. Hickman and Green did the story, and Green did the art. He and Rochelle Rosenberg did the colors. So it's it's funny, the price of the book is actually skyrocketing right now.
Yeah.
But I have to show you some of the art because it's just quite nice.
Yeah, please do.
Splash pages of the entirety of the Marvel universe. Just
wow. That's wild.
Oh yeah, it's like, all right, these guys fought Galactus and they all died, and then you have the Celestials. You've got like just beautifully done art of all of these. You touch on the entirety of Marvel. It's a compelling story of Valeria and Uncle Victor. Yeah, it's a very, very good book.
Wow.
Would highly recommend for anyone who needs to grab or who hasn't grabbed grabbed it in the first run to go out and get a copy of it.
All right, cool. Doom number 1.
Not Caleb Doom, just Victor Von Doom.
Right. Last week I was supposed to review Absolute Power, which you did.
I did.
And I pretty much agree with everything you said. I know I told you this in person, but I want to say on the pod, a couple weeks ago, you reviewed Zatanna number 1 in such a way that it made me go out and buy a copy of Zatanna number 1. And dude, you were right. That book rules.
Yeah.
That book is great.
Absolutely slayed. I was like, I didn't know what to expect.
Yeah, I am here to second Steve's recommendation of Zatanna number 1, number 2, and however many that this team's gonna do because
Yeah.
man, that book was awesome. It was bright and beautiful and well written. Really cool interpretation of the character. Great book. Highly recommend. What else may be in your local comic book store this week? Maybe Aliens, What If, number 5, Amazing Spider-Man, Blood Hunt, number 3, Batman, Superman, World's Finest, number 29, Biker Mice from Mars, number 1.
Wow,
I
that's
don't know
a
either.
throwback.
Yeah.
Wasn't that a 90s
Catwoman.
thing?
I don't know. Was it anything?
I'm pretty sure that was from the 90s. It was in that like Battletoads era.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Street Sharks.
Oh yeah, 100%. 1993. Biker Mice from
Wow.
Mars, 3 seasons of a cartoon.
I've never heard of it before. That's wild to me.
Oh yeah.
No idea. That's awesome.
As you can imagine, it's about anthropomorphic mice that ride motorcycles.
Sure. That are from Mars.
Throttle, Moto, and Vinny. It's the most
Wow,
90s
man.
names you could come up with.
Ninja Turtles really just did a number on every creator in the 90s.
It was like as soon as Turtles went off. Also, side note, this is amazing. The Turtles 40th anniversary.
Oh, yeah.
Everything from Eastman to stuff that looks Eastman and Laird to stuff that looks like, you've got legit old throwback stuff.
Oh, dope.
Next book is very different stylistically. Like, yeah, it's a real gem. But
Awesome.
yeah, the 90s were a very weird time.
They sure were. Anyway, Biker Mice from Mars, number 1. They're back. You've long awaited return of the Biker Mice from Mars. Catwoman 67, Daredevil, Woman Without Fear, number 1. Dark Knights of Steel, All Winter, number 1. Destro, number 2. G.I. Joe, Real American Hero, number 308. Green Lantern War Journal, number 11. High on Life, number 2. Immortal Thor Annual, number 1. Incredible Hulk, 14. Invincible Iron Man, number 20. Last Wardens, number 1. Lawful, number 2. Namor, one new Namor the Submariner book. Nightwing, number 116. Phoenix, number 1. Part of the new launch of the X books. Powerpuff Girls, number 1. Yeah, awesome. Red Sonja, number 12. Scarlet Witch, number 2. Spawn, Misery, number 2. Spider-Woman, number 9. Star Trek, number 22. Star Wars, number 48. Superman, number 16. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Saturday Morning Adventures, number 15. The Rocketeer Breaks Free, number 1. Spectacular Spider-Men, number 5. Thundercats, number 6. Titans, number 13. Ultimate X-Men, number 5. Undiscovered Country, number 30. Wonder Woman, number 11. And X-Men Blood Hunt, Laura Kinney, the Wolverine. Big title. Lots of subtitles there. Number 1.
I was going to say, this
Steve.
seems to be the long title week.
Yeah. X-Men Blood Hunt, Laura Kinney, the Wolverine. So many colons.
Oh, yeah.
Steve, getting any of these books?
Still on Ultimate X-Men.
Yeah.
Seabass is getting the Turtles.
Nice.
And Phoenix.
You still doing?
What's
yeah,
that?
of course you're doing the Phoenix number 1.
Yeah.
Are you still doing Spectacular Spider-Man?
No, mostly because I missed the weeks that 3 and 4 came out. Like, I never threw it on my poll. I was like, it's pretty good. But
Yeah, I was surprised when I saw this was 5
Yeah.
already out. I was
Right.
like, I don't
missed
remember hearing
3
about
and
3 or 4. Yeah.
1 and 2 were very good.
Right. Yeah.
So, Destro, I'll probably grab just because I'm still doing the Energon thing.
Mhm.
It's been good enough to keep me going. So I was like, all right, might
Right.
as well. For anyone who missed it last week, I did read book 2, issue 1 of Hunger in the Dusk, which came out
yeah?
last week.
Yeah.
They're still cooking.
Awesome.
Like, G. Willow Wilson has still got it, and Chris Wildgoose's art is just impeccable.
Wow. Well, shout out to our G. Willow Wilson interview, which you can find from a couple months ago.
Mhm.
Roll on back and listen to that for some information on Hunger in the Dusk.
Also, if anybody didn't get the X-Men number 1 from last week, go get it yesterday because holy shit was that good.
Yeah, I'm hearing it's really good.
Yep.
Hearing it's great.
It felt like
I didn't get it.
all of the characters that were introduced felt like the characters were supposed to. And the stakes didn't seem weird. It felt
outlandish.
Right. It felt weirdly appropriate for coming off Krakoa.
Well, good.
So,
Good. It's a big X relaunch for them. So
Yeah. Also,
they,
Stegman's art is just great through the whole thing.
Yeah, of course it is. Of course. They want it to be good. I'm still not picking up too much stuff. Like there's things that I see like, oh yeah, Tom King's still writing Wonder Woman, and oh yeah,
Right.
Night getting ready to end, and things like that where I'm just like, should I jump back in on those, or should I just wait
for the
until
relaunch?
there's a trade? Yeah. So I'm trying to retrain my brain. I used to be a wait for trade guy all the time, and then I fell down the hole of the single issues, and now I'm trying to retrain myself to be back to wait for the trade. So we'll see if I can hold out. We'll see. But that's all I got, Steve. Unless we want to talk about the Acolyte,
I
which
think we probably should.
We probably should.
I thought I had written a note about something else, but I did not.
Okay.
So whatever.
So if you want to hear us talk about the Acolyte, stick around. If you haven't watched it or don't care about it or don't like it, then you can stop listening right now because we're going to talk about the Acolyte. Spoilers, full spoilers. If you're about to sign off, make sure you like us and subscribe to us on the podcast listening application to which you are listening to us on. That's a sentence that makes sense, right?
Just go with it, man. Just run with it. That's what I do with this every time.
Subscribe to us on YouTube.
You just start going and you just keep going.
Yeah. Yep. You just got to keep going until
all the brain things are done. Yeah.
Yeah, until you get to a punctuation of some kind. Yeah, like us on YouTube. You know what? Tell your friends about us. You got nerdy friends? You like this podcast? You got a nerdy friend that's looking for a nerdy podcast? Spread the word. Follow us on socials. Just don't be mean to us, please. Instagram, Threads, Facebook. About it, though.
Or if you're going to be mean to us, just know we're not going to respond.
Yeah, just know we don't care about your mean thing. And that's all I got. Patreon, too. Check that out. So I think with that, we're going to move on into Acolyte talk.
Yeah, this is your
friendly
neighborhood spoiler warning for
all
things Star Wars.
Episodes 1 through 7 of the Acolyte.
Yeah.
Coming at you in 3, 2, 1. Here we go. I love this episode. It was great. I like the show a lot. The show's great.
I do. This episode I think the writing in this episode was definitely not up to snuff compared to some others. But also, I think they did what they could with what they were given and the need to flash back. I also feel like if this is seen in 1 through 7, like you're just watching through these as a single show, there's an hour gap in between the two flashbacks. It's not 4 weeks. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yep. I feel like that's going to feel a lot different as well.
I certainly understand why they placed the 2 flashback episodes where they did, for sure, because like the reveals we got in this one needed to be held towards the end of the series, right? Like the end reveal that Saul not only killed their mother, but also chose to let May die and save Osha. Those are big. We could not have known that about him. Like, couldn't and shouldn't have known that about Saul earlier in the show. So, like, I get why they had to spread those 2 things out. But and I think it was cool that they did it like 2 different points of view. We saw the same events at first from the girl's point of view, the witch's point of view, and then we're seeing them from the Jedi point of view. Like, that's a cool idea. But because they were 4 weeks apart, there was a lot in this episode where I was like, oh, yeah, that's right. I forgot that happened. Oh, yeah, that's right. I forgot this was the sequence of events. Like,
I feel like
I think what you're saying, binging it later, which I definitely will rewatch this show, watching it in quick succession, that will work a lot better and hit a lot harder.
Yeah, I think so. I took I guess, because when I initially watched it, I went down to the shop and was talking to Mike, and he didn't enjoy it. He was like, there were some awesome moments, but overall it didn't get him. Initially coming out of it, I was like, this held up with most everything. And then the more I thought about, if they had just done something so simple as taken the concept of how the story was being told and like, yes, do it as a flashback. Like, do the first episode as the full flashback, and then the second episode maybe go back and forth between present day and past, and have like Soul actually telling May what's happening, because that's what we're seeing is effectively Soul telling May what actually went down.
Right.
Like he said he was going to at the end of episode 6. So,
But do you really think he's going to tell her, or do you think she's going to find out somehow?
I
guess
I
he's saying
think what
he's going
we're-
to finally.
right. I
Yeah.
think what we're watching is supposed to be him telling her, because
Oh, you think? Oh, really? See, I think that's just.
I think
it's just
he
for the
was
audience.
okay. See, I think he was he was like coming clean on it, and like you
Okay.
could tell that had been eating him, and that nothing.
Yeah, but
quite
it
sat
wasn't
right
like
about it.
But it wasn't like there were like bumpers of a flashback. You know what I mean? It wasn't like, I'll finally tell you. Diddly-doo, diddly-dee, diddly-dee, like
No,
it did.
but like, yeah, I think
it's
that's what they're trying to
I get
frame
that
it as,
it's-
though, because they
Sure,
end that
it's
episode
symbolic
with
of that.
I'm going to tell you, and then they start this episode at the flashback.
Yeah, it's
Um,
certainly symbolic of that, but I'll be interested to see how clearly one of the two of them, if not both, will find out this information. And I think it's interesting that right now the most likely twin to find out this information is May. But then will Osha believe her because they already don't trust each other? You know
Right.
what I mean? Like, so there's still like some really great potential for more conflict between the two of them. And or will it change May's point of view? Will it change her mind at all about anything? And because we see in episode 6, Osha's point of view is starting to change, and Osha's starting to maybe change her mind and have some different feelings. That episode 6 ends with her putting on the Smilo Ren mask.
Yeah.
Which is huge. Episode 6 is great, by the way. I know you guys talked about it last week, but like I liked episode 6 a lot, even though it was like slower and talky. But like,
no, 5 and 6 were bangers.
Yeah, the stranger, not overtly manipulating Osha, but kind of like, changing her point of view. Doing what Sithies will do.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, I just thought that this 7 has set up 8 in a way that makes me very excited for it.
Yeah.
And I didn't struggle with the writing on this one at all. I actually thought it was pretty good. And I really liked pretty much everything that Indara was doing. I think she's a great character. And I'm sad that she is dead in the first episode. But I'm glad we got to see more of her, like super powerful. She's the one that murdered all the other witches, like through using the Force, just shooting it back through.
He actually meant to or not.
So crazy powerful, but also like she was trying to follow the rules. She wasn't trying to, I guess I just like seeing the interplay. Am I like glitching? You're like glitchy for me. Am I glitchy for you?
No, you're coming through clean.
Okay, good. I like seeing the interplay between the Jedi, between Saul and between Indara. Indara's
Torben.
What's that?
And Torben.
And Torben, yeah. But Saul is, they're all younger.
Yeah.
But Saul is clearly going about things emotionally. He's trying to save the girls. He doesn't, and that's, as we've seen a million times, that is the downfall of many a Jedi when they start leading with their emotions instead of with their brains. And Indara is doing that. Indara's like, no, we can't interfere. It's not our place to decide this. And the council has said no, and we're not going to do that. And I just thought it was a very like well told story based on what we know already. And this look into their point of view, I thought it was it made a lot of sense to me. Like this was a reveal of a plot point that I didn't think was like half-assed. You know what I mean? And I believed it. I believed why Saul would be doing that. I believed why Indara would be, more loyal to the council. Is it Tubin? You just said is the
Torben.
Padawan? Tobin.
Torben. Torbin.
That's right. Sorry. Yeah.
I did love that
Um,
we finally realized why he took it so hard and why he
Yeah.
took the Barrage vow, because
Yes.
he's responsible for everything.
Everything. Yep. Everything. I did think his thing might have been a little rushed, but like they're doing so much that they can't like spend a ton of time. Like they did it, and they told us enough that he's sick of it being there and wants to go home. Like they made it work, but it still felt a little like snap judgment to like, we have to go. And he jumps on the speeder and goes without consulting, listening to his master or anything, like a lot. But in all, I think it works. And it did work for me quite a bit. Cool lightsaber swinging at the end there.
Dude,
maybe a little
Wookiee lightsabering.
Yeah.
Absolutely killer.
Yeah. I go back and forth on whether or not I actually like seeing a Wookiee Jedi in live action. Like, it's a cool idea, and sometimes I'm like, that just looks goofy, and sometimes I'm like, who cares? Star Wars can be goofy sometimes. So I don't know. Sometimes I love it, and sometimes I'm like, maybe it's a little too much. I don't know.
I was pleasantly surprised with how they did it. I did like I don't know if Eunice is doing the fight choreography as well, but the way it seemed, the choreography in the show has been absolutely top notch for all these fights.
Oh, yeah, I agree.
Like watching the different styles, and like Kalnaka he's using the Force in a way that his physical strength also comes into play. He's pulling people into a chokehold and throwing them, and like utilizing Wookiee strength, and also that giant ass leap was awesome. But like, can you imagine a 7-foot ball of hair with a lightsaber flying at you?
Terrifying.
Yeah. About as shit your pants as you can get.
Yeah.
But and even when Sol was trying to disarm him and does that like flip over his blade, and like there's all sorts of moments where it's just like they were absolutely cooking when whoever was the choreographer on this, and I should look it up, they are not getting paid enough money. I don't care what they paid them.
Yeah.
They
should be rehired.
Yes.
Yeah, they should be on retainer at
These
Lucasfilm.
are the best live action lightsaber fights we've gotten since Jesus. I can't even think. Probably the prequels.
I don't know. I don't know, man. The throne room scene in Last Jedi is
that is killer.
It's outstanding.
Yeah, whether or not you like that movie, like that's a killer fight.
You're a fool to argue against that scene.
Yeah.
It's like just blatantly. If you don't like that, you're just I don't know. I would think you would be wild to think that. What else was I gonna say? Oh, I also like, speaking of the lightsaber fights, we got a little of Indara's in the first episode.
Yeah.
But for a show that has so many Jedi in it, we've only really gotten 2 big lightsaber battles.
Yeah.
But I think that has made it a better show, because if it was just lightsaber all the time, it wouldn't feel as special. Like, you save them for these 2 big moments and you get really good fights out of them. I just think it's cool that they've had the restraint. You know what I mean? Out of an 8-episode series, we've gotten 2 lightsaber battles, and there's a bunch of Jedi in every episode. The restraint is admirable.
Oh yeah,
I think, when it comes to lightsaber in the Acolyte. Now I'm sure we'll get some. I guess I'm not sure, but I'm surprised if we don't get another duel at the end, or in episode 8 here, between the stranger and somebody.
I'm putting. So do you want my pants on head theory
as to what's going to happen in number 8?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So my brain is saying that May will turn. We'll see or Osha will turn. We'll see a showdown of the twins. Not that May is coming back to the light or anything, but like, she's
I don't think
going to have to fight her sister. There's no 2 ways about that of some sort.
Okay. I guess that makes sense, because May already decided to disobey her master.
Yeah.
And leave him. So it would make sense if Osha is turning to his side, which was hinted at for
Right.
sure, then it would make sense that they're not going to make up and be okay. There's definitely going to be estrangement between the two of them, and nothing that Meg is learned in episode 8 from Saul is going to make her any more likely to join the light side at all. So yeah, sorry. Go ahead with your rest of your theory.
So that takes care of the twins. I don't know what will happen between them. Who knows?
Yeah.
So Vernestra is on her way right now, right?
To Brendock? She's going to that planet too? Or she's going... She was
they were on Brendock.
Kofar.
Or
No, they were on
they were on
Kofar.
Kofar.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, she's
I don't
out there
remember
doing
that
something.
storyline.
So my brain, I forgot about that little piece of it. That might screw it up a little. But my brain thought...
Go ahead.
My brain was on the track of Soul and Chimera are fighting. Chimera kills Soul. Vernestra... Basically, season 2 is Vernestra trying to avenge Soul.
Oh, okay.
Again, with her former Padawan. Because I'm at this point very convinced that Soul is Vernestra's former Padawan.
You think so? Could be.
I think there's a strong chance of that, or at least knew her very well, which would also fit with oh god, what's his name from the Cormac Vitus from the prior books that I think I mentioned a couple weeks ago.
Well, they definitely have a relationship.
Yeah.
And like a friendship.
Wait, no. Chimera and Vernestra have a slightly less friendly, because that's definitely a light whip scar on his back.
Oh, you think that's definitely that kind of scar?
If you see it again, it looks like a whip shape.
Okay. I thought you were saying that Saul was Vernestra's former Padawan.
No,
you were saying
that
the
Chimera,
stranger is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
I guess I don't know who or how, but I'm based on what we saw in episode 5. We know that this show is cool with killing characters.
Yep,
for sure. So it's definitely not going to be one of those series where everyone makes it out at the end. You know, if I would say we have 4 main characters right now. We have the Stranger, we have Osha, we have May, and we have Saul. Not all 4 of them are making it out for sure. I would say it's likely that only 2 will be alive at the end of this series.
That sounds right. 2 or maybe 3. Like,
yeah,
one of the twins, and then a light side and dark side Force user.
Yeah, that's my guess as well. And whether or not the 2 that are left will be on the same side or what, we don't know. Probably not, but remains to be seen. Or maybe, I don't know, maybe only Saul will die, or only one will survive. Who knows?
Right.
Because is it a better ending if Saul dies? Maybe he'll sacrifice himself to like right the wrong, or is it a better ending if he's left alive and haunted by the thing that he couldn't fix?
Yeah.
Like, what's a better ending? I don't know.
True.
The Vernestra stuff, I can't comment on. I don't know about Vernestra. I know that she's been in the books, and she's the only character from the books that's appearing in the show. To be honest, I feel like in the show hasn't made me care about that character at all.
Not at all. They've done a very poor job with her compared to the characterization in the books, and even how
but also like
how she feels.
Yeah, because it's also not her show,
right?
So she's not the main character. I don't have to know much about her other than her role in the Jedi Council.
But in the books, she's not like, for lack of a better description, pissed off Ahsoka.
Yeah.
Like,
okay.
You know, early season 1, like Rosario Dawson Ahsoka, where it was just like stoic, and that's very much not similar to Ahsoka. Very much not the characterization of that character in the books.
I've noticed, and I've heard other podcasts mention this as well, that you know, no shade, or you know, I'm not trying to be a jerk or anything, but like, I don't know that actress is crushing it as her. Like, she seems a little stiff, and maybe that's the character. Maybe that's the way she's playing the character. But as like, I'm saying that now after you just described the character as not a stiff character in the books or whatever.
Not at all.
yeah, okay. So, um, yeah, I don't know. So if Vernestra is to be a bigger character in, a rumored season 2, then I think they're gonna have to do some work to get me on board with that. That's how I'll say that right now, I guess.
Won't disagree.
But I'm on board with everything else. I gotta say. Very interested to see what happens, how it ends, how everybody connects, and if there is a season 2, I don't think this show was made with a season 2 in mind. So it is my belief and it is my absolute hope that this does not end with a cliffhanger, that it wraps up with some kind of, not everything in a tight little bow, but a satisfying ending.
Yeah.
Where if they have an idea for a season 2, they can make a season 2. But if this is the only thing we get, then it's the only thing we get. But something tells me we're going to get a season 2. And the thing that tells me that is that on the app Letterboxd, which is a movie ranking and reviewing and logging app that I love, you can also log in miniseries. But if it's but they don't let you log in just like TV shows,
like a full blown maxing, yeah.
Right. So the option to log in Obi-Wan Kenobi was on there. The option to log in Acolyte, not on there.
Gotcha.
The option to log in Andor is not on there because Andor was announced as a 2-season show. So there's some things that get messed up. Like
a defined 2-season, I almost would consider a mini. Like that's not a 2-season, 8-issue per or 8 episode per. That seems like it's fair. Or sorry, 9.
Well, then you should run the Letterboxd app. You should be in charge of that. Because then I could log it in, but I can't. There was a thing with Ahsoka where Ahsoka, you can log in Ahsoka as a series because they didn't announce a season 2. I don't know if they were planning on making a season 2 until season 1 was out. So sometimes it gets tricked.
Gotcha.
But with this one, it's not on there. Can't add in the Acolyte. So that makes me think that they know they're going to do a season 2. But still, with that knowledge, I hope that we get a nice, a button at the end of this series and not a huge cliffhanger. And we have to wait 2 years for them to make the show, whatever. So, but we'll see. And we'll see, like you said, this Tuesday, or if you're me, Wednesday.
Yeah.
Yeah, can't wait. I honestly can't wait. This has been, I know, I feel like this is one of my favorite Disney shows. My live action of the live action Star Wars series, like it's up there for me, for sure.
Well, I'm glad. Welcome to our High Republic overlords.
Yeah, welcome. I'm glad to be here. Cool. Any other positive Star Wars things that you want to say to make people mad on the internet?
I like Star Wars.
Yeah, me too. That's almost the worst thing you can say.
Really,
so many people get mad at you when you say that you.
It's the standard. There's nobody that hates Star Wars more than Star Wars fans.
I know. Isn't that crazy?
It's nuts.
And it's funny because you can just say I like Star Wars and not specify. And the people that want to be mad at you for liking the thing that they don't like just assume that you're talking about the thing that they don't like and just start yelling at you.
Like
so I could just say, I like Star Wars, and someone could assume I'm talking about The Acolyte or Last Jedi or Rise of Skywalker, like a movie they hate,
Right.
I'd be like, hey, okay, that's wild.
Yeah.
But
until then, I'll just sit here and paint my little Star Wars men and call it a day.
Yeah, you're really good at that, by the way. Really good at that.
When you've done enough of them, it starts to you start to get okay at it.
Yeah. How many do you have like giant magnifying lenses over your eyes? Because those are like so tiny.
No.
So tiny. Wow.
Nothing. Just these eyes.
That's wild. That's even more impressive. Maybe we should post a picture of what I'm talking about so people can know what we're talking about, because this is well, if you're watching on YouTube, it's visual. Most of you, it's not a visual medium. But even in the YouTube people, we're not holding anything up.
No.
Or showcasing anything.
No.
But Steve paints little Star Wars miniatures.
Yeah,
he does an incredible job of it.
The Star Wars Legion miniatures. I don't play a ton, though my son now has found a likening to playing it. So
nice.
been getting that on the table more often, but also there's a bunch of really great plastic things that I like to turn into looking like they're supposed to. So I did an Anakin and Rex the other day, and they came out pretty solid.
Oh, awesome. Yeah, send me those pics again, or I'll find them in our chat. Or maybe I'll post them so people can take a look. And that's it. That's all we got. That's our episode.
That is
right. So do all the things that I mentioned earlier, websites and emails and multiverse reports on socials and things like that. And until next time, as the two suns set on the burnt corpses of Owen and Baru Lars, we say thanks for watching, thanks for listening, and we'll see you in the multiverse.